terms of mud flows, and something will be until this weekend, so be careful out there.
Yeah, keep up.
With organizations like be able to house folks. That takes a little bit more time. The first thing people need to do is register with FEMA and the number that the administrator provided and get into the system, and then see with Red Cross and some other non-governmental organizations to ensure that any funds and any support for those individuals can be made available, and all of us are expanding to total extent all of those programs to make them immediately available. The short of it, though, is folks are going to stay in the shelter teams and other kinds of efforts in those shelters, and we're deeply appreciative of all the folks that have been running those shelters, and for the American Red Cross and the Salvation Army and all the volunteers that have been working there.
Can any of this be done by Wednesday with break?
Well, you know, there's some folks that are already in the process of getting assistance and getting placed, and I know that you know, there's no shortage of effort trying to get people out of those places. Look, we've tried to get people, we've talked to all the people in the parking lots. Many individuals are comfortable staying where they're at, and we don't want to push them into something that they don't want to be in. But our effort is to try to move as expeditiously as possible to get them out of that environment.
What? You're trying to get relief for people,
right?
For people that have no internet service, for people living in
right.
parking lot. How do they find you?
So,
where are you going to be visible?
So let's talk about this. Bottom line is this is a very complex disaster, probably one of the most complex the nation's ever seen when it comes to Paradise. And here's the thing. First of all, there's sensitivities around debris. You can't just remove the debris because we're still looking for missing persons. And it takes time to be able to go through, sift through the debris at the local level to make sure that we respect those that may, the remains that may be in place in some of these homes. You can't just go in and do the debris removal and ultimately move people back in. The other thing with Paradise, and I know there's other communities that have been as devastated, smaller communities around Paradise, is that, you know, there's not much to start with when it comes to the infrastructure. So the infrastructure is basically a total rebuild at this point. If you don't have the infrastructure and you move people back in, there's nothing to support them, that's not a good move either. So we have to be very calculated, and this is a team effort. It's neighbor helping neighbor all the way to the federal government. And so there are ongoing meetings with my staff and the mayors, the municipalities, and the state government to say, what is the logical sequence of events to be able to get a town like Paradise back on its feet? You got to focus on the infrastructure. You got to do debris removal. You've got to be able to understand that are available. It's not just dragging FEMA travel trailers and manufactured homes in. We have to look at all options on the table and consider reasonable commuting distance. And in many cases, you know, our individual assistance is also designed to provide some amount of aid for those that lost their job as a result of the community being devastated. So you've had, you know, communities like Paradise are majority, you know, made up of a majority of small businesses. Will they be able to come back? We have to have a real conversation with the private sector as to how we come back. The other thing that we have to look at is temporary school capability as well, temporary medical capabilities as well. So, you know, this is going to be a very long and frustrating event for the citizens in Paradise, but we have all got to work together to find a new normal.
Rob,
yes.
question to follow up on that. You mentioned a little earlier that the infrastructure was a big priority. The vice mayor of Paradise has said he's already been told by FEMA the road to recovery will take 5 to 6 years. People don't have that long to wait.
Well, The Federal Emergency Management Agency is working with 700 open disasters. All these disasters take multiple years. It's not that it's going to take 5 years to put people back in their homes. What is the goal and what is the vision for where they want to be as schools get rebuilt or not, or what hospitals get rebuilt or not, based on what comes back into the community. So, our grant funding, FEMA thinks that we just come, a lot of people think that FEMA just comes in, provides food, water, shelter, and MREs of dollars every day in multiple communities, and we'll be here for several years working this disaster.
Question for Governor Brown. Governor Michael Adams from AC's head in Sacramento. What's your understanding of the incident report that was taken by the Public Utilities Commission?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on issues that touch on liability. There's a process. There'll be a lot of people looking at it from an official point of view and also from citizen participation. So everything will be transparent, it'll all be aired out, but I think it would not be prudent for me to start offering commentary on difficult issues that we have a process to flesh out.
Governor Brown,
What?
Paradise, in Santa Rosa, supplies, the labor is skyrocketing. People say
Right.
it's the same home they had. Is there anything the state can do to prevent that from happening?
Well, we do have, as part of my executive order, we prohibit price gouging and things like that. But we are in the midst of a catastrophe, and catastrophes unfold over time, and the government is doing things. We can do more, but that's the nature of where we are today. That's why we call it a tragedy, and now we have to live with it. But I can tell you, the state of California will do everything we can, and where we find people gouging or acting, but we still are faced with all the things you've heard today, and so we have to work it out as a human matter. We all have to work together. So the easiest thing is to try to identify one source of our problems and then kind of pick on that. I think it's much different than that. We are in the problem and we are the solution. So it's not going to be easy, but we'll get it done. We are not a poor state. We have the resources. We'll get it done. No, I'm not going to talk about that. That's a legal matter that we have the most expensive lawyers in the world that will argue it out in exquisite detail. So I'm not going to add to it.
All right. Okay, that's going to conclude for today. Thank you very much for being here.
Passing and began to restore military readiness in an increasingly dangerous world. Chairman of the Armed Services Committee, John McCain, ensures our troops have resources, the equipment, and we passed the Veterans Administration Mission Act. Again, a bipartisan piece of legislation clogged so much or that they had to drive great distances to get access to basic health care. And so we passed the VA Mission Act with an eye toward providing on time. Haven't finished flashy. So our record is clear, and in the next number of nominations we've been able to get done before we recess, there's still a huge backlog. Use the leverage of people wanting to get home at Christmas time and Thanksgiving to ensure that we get a maximum number of these non-controversial nominees supported. These are people who will enjoy broad bipartisan support if we can just get our Democratic colleagues to quit the obstruction. Mr. President, we just have a short time left to finish this Congress strong, but the past 2 years have been an unmitigated success for the country. We've delivered on promises we made. We've put money
well. You can see another fire truck moving into position along Amberwood Avenue, going to try and tackle this fire in the backyard here with a hand line. As quickly as the backyards and landscaping on fire, they're going to have a real problem here, obviously. You can see once again this fire just continuing to move south along Riverside Avenue. Again, running direct, the smoke and flames spreading rapidly, a rapid rate of spread here in Devore. Like some of the houses, well, I don't want to speak too soon, but it seems like this fire just is so heavy. All it takes is an ember to float through here and light some of this landscaping on fire, as I mentioned. And again, things can change very quickly, and that's why we see a lot of folks already packing up their belongings, not taking any chances. Unclear if there are door knocks going on, but it's very possible. Also, you can see a lot of law enforcement coming in from multiple backyards on fire. Multiple backyards on fire. Department getting over there pretty quickly, and it looks like they've got a pretty good handle on at least the one backyard, but so far no structures that we've seen. There is, what type of a structure is that, Robbie, at the end there? If it keeps moving at the end, at Locust and Riverside. At the end of Riverside, near the top left. Right there, what is that? You can see just how it's towards the neighborhood, but if this continues and the wind changes even slightly, that's going to be a different story. If it continues forward, you saw just a second ago, we were looking over Aldo. Progress. Once again, this fire running right up along this power line. So far, it looks like the power is still on in this neighborhood. Again, we're right along Riverside Avenue. This is at the cross of Adler, where you're looking. This fire has spread from 5 to 10 to upwards of 30 acres now as it continues to move in a whole neighborhood on the other side of Riverside Avenue, where firefighters are now engaging people. Every dump water to right here. Is kind of, is that a road? So it's actually a raised dirt road. Is that an ambulance? Okay. Okay. .com or on our ABC7 app and on Facebook Live. You're started just a few hundred feet away and is quickly spread up on the south and Dozier. Very smoky. Pretty dramatic picture here. Acres. Clearly, you can see as the wind shifts ever so slightly. Now, a short distance from Riverside, you want to close your windows if you live anywhere near here because the smoke is really overwhelming. It's overwhelming this entire neighborhood as the wind shifts. You can see just how quickly the wind is blowing through here by the rate of the smoke there. You can see just how fast that smoke is blowing through. Here's another dozer crew trying to move into position. Storm higher field on the other side of Riverside Avenue. Most powerful Santa Ana winds left in our area that are now coming through the Cajon Pass are really fanning the flames here in Rialto. This is a 20 to 30 acre brush fire, but man, the relation to these homes here is concerning to say the least. Again, as we watch this wall of flame continue to spread south, and the spread of that smoke just tells you how quick those winds are right now. It's about 30 to 40 knots at the very least. Riverside Avenue quickly copy that, copy. So we're being told that Rialto PD is actually going door to door through this neighborhood, attempted Avenue and work their way from there. We've already seen a number of people self-evacuating, getting in their cars with their belongings and driving away. Yes. Yeah, we can show it again. You want to show the cars? Lots of folks getting ready to leave this neighborhood. This is going to be the Ferguson Park area, by the way, the Ferguson Park neighborhood in Rialto. Traffic starting to build up on Via Bello Drive as folks try and get out of here. Via Bello, one of the main arteries out of Ferguson Park. A number of fire trucks entering the scene as residents try and leave, and creating a bit of a traffic jam there on Adler. So traffic starting to build up. Police now directing traffic. Just a scary, scary scene and a scary time, obviously, with the fires that we've been dealing with across Ventura County and Malibu. This is just the last thing we want to see, but these homes certainly in the line of fire here along Riverside Avenue in Ferguson Park in the city of Rialto as fire officials try